Hi, I'm Dave Travis, the Chief Encouragement Officer of Leadership Network, and I'm joined today by Lee Powell, who's the lead pastor at Cedar Creek Church. And Lee, just tell folks just 30 seconds about Cedar Creek.
It started 17 years ago, and the community we started in was Perrysburg, which is a suburb of Toledo, and we have 4 locations now with about 10,000 people attending a weekend.
Yeah, it's a great church, and you've actually had me up there to be with your staff before. I really enjoyed it. And you've been in several leadership communities too, now that I think about it. So y'all been down to Dallas to see some of our Dallas crew.
We love it in Dallas.
That's right. Lee, I know that one of the goals that you have for Cedar Creek and the church has, the leadership there, is to reach people far from God. How do you guys measure that?
Yeah, well, we actually started, Dave, doing something the second year in of our 17-year history where twice a year we would take a survey. And that survey has changed very little so that we can compare apples to apples over these last 6. So we have 16 years of data twice a year. And one of the questions we ask people is we ask them to rate their previous church attendance before coming to Cedar Creek. And so we know what percent are unchurched, what percent are Christians, seeker, growing Christian. Did they come through advertising, which we do? Did they come through the invite of a friend? And this last, we had what we call a big push, where it's kind of like a campaign, but it's an advertising campaign where we invite people to church, television advertising, radio, TV, or billboards. And the theme was upgrade your life. That was the series, very felt need. And that, when we measured those people, the second week of that campaign, 63% of them were unchurched, of the new people at the church.
Wow. You sent me one page from the survey.
Yeah.
And first of all, that you get almost 100% response rate. Am I reading that about right?
No. Actually, on that weekend, we had 9,829 in attendance, 9,829, and 3,400 people filled out the survey. But that is, if you know anything about statistics, that's a huge sample. So we're sure that the sample, in fact, what we would even say is there's probably more unchurched than are reported, because people tend to lie about their spirituality. They overrate how often they attend church and even where they're at as a Christ follower. But what was stunning for us is, this is what we have been following this trend now for 16 years, is that as a whole, our church is about 42, 43% unchurched as a whole. That's for the last 17 years. And we know that each survey, too, because everybody fills out a survey. But we're growing, and we're starting to reach a higher percentage of unchurched, which you would think as the church gets older and matures, you might reach a lower. But I think the longer we're around and our name is in the community, the more likely we are to reach unchurched rather than less likely. So we're excited that the number's going up rather than down.
I know you also ask people kind of where they are in their journey,
right.
In their following Christ, and kind of explain that for us.
Yeah, one is a mature Christ follower. That's about 20+%. That'll vary between each survey, 20 to 25%. And then about 60 will say they're a growing Christian. And then the other 20, they're trying to figure it out. But we even think the 60 that say they're a growing Christian, again, people overrate themselves. So we have a lot of nominal Catholics that come to our church that weren't attending, that'll come, and you ask a Catholic, are you a Christian? And they're like, yeah, of course I'm a Christian. So we know that there's a really solid number of about 20% for sure are just trying to figure it out. And we think there's another 20 to 30 that are probably, so, most of the unchurched, we believe, are not Christians when they come to Cedar Creek.
And, I know one of the things you also do is you ask them about how frequently they attend.
Right.
And you discover some things there. You ask them their age. Anything else that you ask them on a regular basis?
You pretty much got it. That's we ask what brought them to church.
Okay.
They come through advertising or the invite of a friend, and they actually can check off both boxes. And they often do. They'll check off both because so the sum total is usually 120%, because a group of them check off both, and they'll say, somebody invited me and I heard your ad. And so it's the synergy of the two. I know people that, there are some that kind of scoff at church advertising, or I remember Barna wrote a book years ago, Marketing Your Church, and people were up in arms about that. I'm not even sure if Barna supports anymore what he wrote years ago. But I would say for us, having our name in the community, it's not like we say we're the best church. That's not our advertising. Our advertising is, here's something for your life, change your life. And having our name out there has helped us a lot. We're sure of that.
You also ask marital status, which a lot of people don't ask.
Yeah. We about 40% of our adults are single, but what's interesting about that number is it's not like that's a bunch of 30-something adults. That includes 18 to 23-year-olds, which you would expect to be single. So, yeah, it helps us know. Here's what surveying has done for us, Dave. As a leader,
Great. It's
helped me to deflect all of the hard questions. Are we really reaching unchurched? How many single people in the church? Well, we have the data. And so the data, I love data because I'm not guessing. I know what our church looks like, at least data-wise.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things I always emphasize to leaders, especially of large churches, is there's more single people than they believe that are attending. Because if you look at your staff, most of your staff is married.
Right.
But a lot of the people attending are single. So that's great. Yeah. Hey, Lee, is there anything else that's really working well for?
Yeah, you kind of cut off there at the end there, but I heard you say, is there anything that's working really well for us?
Yeah.
And I would say right now our multi-site strategy we think is working very well for us. Where each of these locations we've gone into, while we've sent a mass of people from, if you want to call it the mothership, or and we're just reaching a ton of unchurched people in these new locations. In fact, one of our West Toledo location, which is one of our multi-sites, 68% of the people there, new people, are unchurched.
Wow. I saw a great story, I think, on the news there in Toledo when I read it online about a shopping center that you guys had worked with and how welcoming the other tenants were to have Cedar Creek there.
Yeah, because that was a shopping center that actually, it was an empty building that was offered to us for $4 million 3 years ago. And then this whole economy, everything was going south, and something happened to where we got the building for $1.4 million. That was a building that had sat vacant for a long time. Pristine grocery store, if you will. And the community, it's a dying community. So we went into a dying community, and the merchants around there were thrilled to have us because of the traffic we generated. So I think it can be a win-win for a church going into a shopping center. Plus, we don't have grass to cut. It's all parking lot.
That's great. I need one of those for my house.
Right.
I've been talking today, our Conversations of Church Innovation, with Lee Powell, the lead pastor of Cedar Creek Church, one of the great churches in northwestern Ohio and really in the country. Lee, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be a part of it.